and welcome. Tonight, the United Nations Children's Fund raises alarm over what it says is 4.5 million people in need of humanitarian assistance in Nigeria's northeast region. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative pledge greater transparency in the dealings of the hydrocarbon sector in Nigeria. Chairman of Rivers State Independent National Electoral Commission, Michael Ode, asks Rivers residents to come out in their numbers to vote in tomorrow's local government election. And former Thai Prime Minister Shinawatra accepts court's verdict validating her removal from office over alleged leaked phone call with Cambodia's ex-leader Hun Sen.
On business news tonight, African Airlines drive stellar global growth in passenger and air cargo demand in July, according to latest reports by IATA.
On sports news tonight, President Bola Tinubu declares the 9th National Youth Games open at multi-sports events opening ceremony in Asaba, the Delta State capital.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, as the nation continues to grapple with insecurity, Nigeria's former permanent representative to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, asked the federal government to domesticate the UN Peace Pact.
Tonight, we begin with a revelation. The United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, believes that over 4.5 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance in Nigeria's northeast region, which has been facing Boko Haram insurgency for many years now. The UNICEF country representative for Nigeria, Mrs. Wafa Said Abdul Tatif, disclosed this in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, during the media briefing after her assessment of the challenges in the region. According to her, the figure includes 2.5 million children who are at the risk of acute malnutrition, as she reaffirmed UNICEF's commitment to working with state governments in the region to improve the lives of children and families across the northeast.
The issue of addressing immunization of children, especially reaching the zero-dose children, is a priority of the government that we are aligned to, because we are also aligning to support national priority. That is something very critical, and that support is through having the cold chain, the community health workers, and working with the government on immunization of those kids. I spoke earlier about visiting the site, the Maiduguri Teaching Hospital. Also, when it comes to malnutrition, there is an estimate that there are 3.5 million severely acutely malnourished children. That's a really high number, and severe acute malnutrition is the worst form of malnutrition, and a child, if the child, he or she has severe acute malnutrition, if they are not treated, they are at risk maybe 11 times to die compared to a nourished child. So it's a very, very high risk. And I think in Nigeria, I believe both the political and operational conditions are at the right place, because I've also heard as part of my briefing and induction that malnutrition is treated something as a priority, as a national emergency, that the whole country has to come around and address malnutrition. Unlike other places where I have worked, the product that is used to treat children, there are factories in Nigeria that produce what is called ready-to-use food that has micronutrient and supplement that treat the children. In other places, it has to be brought from abroad, so it's more expensive, it takes more time, but this is also a good condition.
In the health sector, the executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Muyi Aina, says the administration of President Bola Tinubu remains committed to strengthening Nigeria's healthcare system under the Renewed Hope agenda. Speaking at an event in Abuja, Dr. Aina announced the distribution of 1,653 solar direct drive refrigerators to health facilities across the 36 states and the FCT. He explains that this initiative is part of efforts to close gaps of vaccine supply supply chain and improve routine immunization services. He also adds that the timing aligns with the upcoming nationwide integrated immunization campaigns scheduled for October, targeting over 109 million doses of life-saving vaccines for Nigerian children.
We all know that immunization is a critical part of primary health care. It's not all of it, but it's a critical part because every individual requires some vaccines, at some point in their lives. This set of equipment that we're receiving today will be a total of 1,653 of them. It's with the support of Gavi, with the support of UNICEF, WHO, the federal government, thanks to the president and my ministers, and of course all of our partners.
Meanwhile, the partners from UNICEF also pledged to continue to provide financial and technical support to the government in efforts to improve the health sector in the country.
The specific support for today, the handover includes 1,653 solar direct drive refrigerators, as mentioned earlier, 165 sets, spare parts to support them, temperature monitoring devices, both remote and 30-day temperature recorders. Altogether, this investment, valued at approximately $11 million, will significantly enhance Nigeria's healthcare infrastructure.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, the NNPCL, and the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NATI, have pledged to partner to ensure greater transparency in the dealings of hydrocarbon sector in the country. The Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPCL and the Executive Secretary of NATI emphasized the importance of transparency in the sector to ensure an enabling environment for foreign direct investment. Both men stated this during a courtesy visit by NATI executives to the NNPCL management in Abuja. Our correspondent, Delio Moyeni, reports.
The management of the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NATI, is at the headquarters of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited on a courtesy call to its management. The meeting is part of efforts to strengthen the nation's oil and gas industry's commitment to improving transparency.
I warmly congratulate all of you.
The Executive Secretary of NATI harps on increased partnership between both organizations for the good of the sector.
Renewed investor confidence and increasing indigenous ownership are reshaping the industry. These gains must not only be sustained but expanded. As Nigeria's flagship national oil company, NNPC must stand firm as a modest model of transparency, accountability, efficiency, and civic engagement. These values are critical, not just to restore public trust, but to preserve and protect NNPC as Nigeria's greatest national asset and pride to our nation.
Some of the outcomes of the partnership include the setting up of a technical committee to enhance extractive sector governance in Nigeria, which will be preceded by a memorandum of understanding on data exchange, training and compliance to the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative standards.
I'd like to start by...
The Group Chief Executive Officer of NNPC Limited affirmed the company's commitment to implementing the principles of transparency and accountability in the extractive industry.
In terms of the areas of increased reporting, you have my commitment. Even before meeting with you, immediately you notice that we restated the monthly report. And we're improving on it month by month to ensure that we've also started to look at quite a number of internal processes and internal framework in terms of our own internal reporting structure to ensure that there is accuracy in the information that we provide and enhance that level of accuracy as well. So there have been quite a few internal improvements that will be putting in place just to make sure that things are going well. So you have my commitment that we will work on reinstating that report.
In the interim, the management of NNPC Limited has set up a NATI compliance office and assigned the Chief Finance Officer to serve on the NATI board as required by law. Delia Moyen, Channels Television News.
The governor of Imo State and chairman of the Crude Oil Theft and Management Committee, a subcommittee of the National Economic Council, Mr. Hope Uzodimma, has applauded the new management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, led by Mr. Bayo Julari, for repositioning the nation's oil and gas sector. Briefing journalists in Abuja after a meeting with the management of NNPCL, Governor Uzodimma says the federal government remains committed to its target of attaining a crude oil production level of 3 million barrels per day.
We decided to meet today to take briefing from the new management of NNPC and NUPRC, the regulator, and we are satisfied with the presentation given to us by the management of NNPC and their work plan, and we wish to engage them again before our next meeting to be able to fashion out a meeting point to ensure that Nigeria begin to produce at least 3 million barrels a day as promised by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We also jointly commended the wisdom and foresight of Mr. President in making some changes in the industry and the close supervision he has deployed to the industry, which is now yielding this result.
And staying in the petroleum and oil and gas sector, the Senate Committee on Petroleum Downstream has reaffirmed its commitment to working with the executive and key stakeholders to implement sustainable reforms aimed at stabilizing Nigeria's petroleum downstream sector and, of course, improving transparency in product supply and distribution. And this followed their 5-day retreat held in Rivers State, where lawmakers, regulators and industry experts all deliberated on the lingering challenges facing the sector. The committee chairman, Senator Sulaiman Kawu, explains that over the course of the retreat, participants presented papers and engaged in wide-ranging deliberations on subsidy management, pricing distributions, infrastructural gaps, and the regulatory framework. The committee also resolved to collate the outcome of discussions into actionable recommendations that will inform future legislative interventions in the petroleum downstream sector.
To provide a roadmap for the oversight and legislative activities of the Senate Committee on Downstream sectors, ensuring that our interventions are strategic, impactful, and responsive to national needs. To critically evaluate the implementation of Petroleum Industry Act 2021, particularly the provision on the midstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund and the host community development fund, which are pivotal for exclusivity, growth, and social justice. To strengthen the capacity of committee members to exercise effective oversight, appropriation, and legislative review, in line with the constitutional mandate of the National Assembly and the vision of the renewed hope agenda. To deepen collaboration with stakeholders across government agencies, industry operation, host communities, and development partners, so that the downstream sector is not only commercially viable but also socially equitable and environmentally sustainable.
Let's turn our attention to politics now. And ahead of the local government election in Rivers State tomorrow, the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Michael O'Day, has asked the people of Rivers to come out in their numbers and peacefully exercise their civic duty of voting. He made the call in the pre-election broadcast message ahead of the polls. Mr. O'Day also advised residents to conduct themselves in line with electoral guidelines across the 6,866 polling units and 319 wards in the state, assuring that with the police support, adequate security has already been put in place to protect lives and property. The RISEC chairman also assured residents of prompt arrival of voting materials to polling units, including in rural and riverine communities. Meanwhile, in an earlier joint media chat with the police, Mr. O'Day had clarified that the restriction of movement will start from 12 a.m. to 6 p.m. tomorrow. In part two, after the break, Former presidential candidate of the new Nigerian People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, declares that he has no plans to abandon his party. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. The United Nations Children's Fund raises alarm, says over 4.5 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance in Nigeria's northeast region. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative pledge greater transparency in the dealings of hydrocarbon sector in Nigeria. Chairman of Rivers State Independent National Electoral Commission, Michael Ode, asks Rivers residents to come out in their numbers to vote in tomorrow's local government election. And former Thai Prime Minister Shinawatra accepts court's verdict validating her removal from office over alleged leaked phone call with Cambodia's ex-leader, Hun Sen. Let's turn our attention to politics. The former governor of Kano State and 2023 presidential candidate of the new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, Mr. Rabiu Kwankwaso, has declared that he has no plans to abandon the party. Speaking in the nation's capital, Abuja, at the 9th National Executive Committee meeting of the party, Mr. Kwankwaso told party members and supporters that contrary to speculations, he has no plan to join the ruling All Progressives Congress. He emphasized that any negotiation for collaboration or a merger with any party regarding the 2027 general election could be and will be a collective decision, as he believes in party supremacy.
Many people thought today we will announce whether I will stay in any NPP or will go to another party or will join some individuals and so on. I think that was all the intention of the meeting. You have seen the agenda. But let me take this opportunity to tell you that we have our party and we are comfortable. We are happy. We are ready to do whatever it takes because we are not in a hurry. Rabiu Kwankwaso is not in a hurry. Members, the leadership, and all of us are not in a hurry. We believe that we have something to offer at the end of the day, at the highest leadership level in this country. But we want to do it the way it should be done. We are flexible. We are ready to talk to anybody. As far as we are concerned, we are doing our business. Other parties are free to do their own business. This party is not my party. It's not the chairman's party. It's not our party, only those of us in this hall. It's for Nigerians. Everybody is free to come in. And on the other hand, even though we don't want anybody to leave, but if somebody has to leave, what else can you do? Just nothing.
The Anambra State Amalgamated Traders Association, an umbrella body of the traders in the state, have endorsed Governor Charles Soludo for a second term. In a solidarity rally tagged a day of celebration with Anambra traders held at the Chuba Ikpeazu Stadium in Onitsha. The traders commended the governor for his impactful and people-oriented programs and leadership.
The Chuba Ikpeazu Stadium is filled with traders from across Anambra State. They gather to celebrate with Governor Chukwuma Soludo and openly endorse him for a second term in office. The atmosphere becomes electrified as the governor arrives. The traders insist their support is based on his friendly policies, development projects across the state, and the special programs they have benefited under his administration.
We have many special programs like One Youth, Two Skills and beneficiaries can testify to the governor's support. There are rumors about people contesting elections in Anambra, but from our findings, you have no competitor. Those who came with brooms are nowhere to be found because Governor Soludo has already swept everywhere. I thank our governor for supporting us. When the apprenticeship training began, many doubted the government would give financial support. But in the end, we received checks of 500,000 each for apprentices, while others got 200 or 300,000 naira. I got 500,000 naira, and today I have my own shop at Ochanja selling handbags. This is really not made up. We speak only the truth about what the governor has done, and we believe he will do more.
Leaders of the association from different parts of the state take the podium with one voice and endorse Governor Soludo to continue in office. They also support him financially. A visibly delighted governor receives the gesture with gratitude, noting that even though campaigns are yet to begin, the people of Anambra are already speaking.
It's now a people's movement. Almost everywhere we go, the people themselves are contributing money for this election. We have not even started our campaign, but the people of Anambra are contributing.
Governor Soludo reminds the traders that in his 3 years in office, his administration has not borrowed to fund any of its infrastructure projects. He assures them that his government will continue to support Igba Boy, the Igbo apprenticeship system, through initiatives like the One Youth, Two Skills program and other empowerment schemes.
Over now to Sokoto State, where tragedy struck again as another boat mishap occurred in Shagari local government area of the state, leaving many passengers dead. Confirming the incident to journalists, the special advisor to the governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Bodinga, says that officials of the State Emergency Management Agency are working in collaboration with the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and the National Inland Waterways Authority to rescue the victims. The special advisor, who says the ill-fated boat was carrying several passengers when it capsized, could not provide the exact number of casualties, but locals are saying the fear that most passengers on board may not survive the accident. We head to the nation's capital, Abuja, now, where Victoria Longjohn is standing by to bring us more stories on the news at 10. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Anne. Now, there's a call on the United Nations to ensure that the newly adopted Peace Pact for the future moves beyond paper promises to guarantee peace, security and development, especially as Nigeria continues to battle with rising insecurity. The former permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, made the call at the UN Stakeholders Dialogue on Nigeria's commitment to the Pact of the Future in Abuja. Professor Gambari has also asked the federal government to lead in domesticating the pact in partnership with the UN country team. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
The insecurity in Nigeria comes in various forms, including communal clashes, conflict between farmers and herders, sectarian agitations, insurgency, among others. The insecurity is part of a global conflict as recorded in Gaza, as well as between Russia and Ukraine. Global peace formed the basis for the conversation at this United Nations Stakeholders Dialogue on Nigeria's commitment to the Pact of the Future. The dialogue is put together by UN in collaboration with the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution. This summit aimed to strengthen global governance with a focus on peace building, youth empowerment, and digital innovation.
No sustainable development is possible without peace. No peace is lasting without development. And neither can endure without respect of human rights. That is why the United Nations is working hand in hand with Nigerian government, Nigerian civil society on the Pact for the Future. Our presence at today's gathering underscores our unwavering commitment to partnering with the UN system in fulfilling the objectives of the Pact. I urge all participants, experts, and government representatives to take decisive action in confronting the existential threats facing our continent. Let us move beyond rhetoric to meaningful action so we may achieve greatness and leave a lasting legacy for generations unborn.
Joining virtually, former military head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, stressed that peace and security remain the foundation for national development.
Today we face another defining moment. Security reform, inclusivity, youth engagement in the climate threats demanded implementation. Our commitment was incredible, paramount, and deliverable. Anything less can lead to trust and weaken our democracy.
The meeting discussed recommendations on how Nigeria's peace-building architecture can deliver the commitments to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
Let us seize this opportunity to chart a transformative course that leaves no community behind, uplift every voice and sources of more peaceful coexistence and resilience in Nigeria by 2030.
The former permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, called for concrete actions to safeguard future generations.
It calls for anticipatory action, realistic mandates, data-informed decisions, and integrated approaches that protect civil space and advance women and youth participation. This is not abstract. It's an operational doctrine for country teams.
The United Nations is urging Nigeria to align with the Global Digital Compact by advancing responsible artificial intelligence connectivity and data protection. The summit ended with a call for collective action towards a safer, inclusive future. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, African Airlines drives stellar global growth in passenger and air cargo demand in July. That's according to the latest report by IATA. That's some business news. Join us again. Welcome back to the news at 10. Enugu State Governor Mr. Pitamba has commissioned Niger Gas Company Limited, which has been revamped and upgraded by his administration after 30 years of dormancy. Governor Mba stressed that the revival of Niger Gas, originally established in 1962 by Dr. Michael Okpara, is further proof of his administration's commitment to revive moribund state-owned assets and expand Enugu's economy from $4.4 billion to $30 billion.
Niger Gas Company Limited, located in Emene, Enugu East local government area, had been dormant for 30 years, following its establishment in 1962 by the governor of the Eastern region, Michael Okpara. Its doors are being opened once again, this time under the administration of Governor Pitamba. Residents of Emene welcomed the governor and other government officials to commission the upgraded company.
The revamp of Niger Gas.
The State Commissioner for Trade, Investment and Industry gives an overview of production capacity as well as expansion plans.
Niger Gas will once again produce liquid oxygen, medical oxygen, industrial oxygen and acetylene gas. It will also expand to produce nitrogen, argon gas, industrial carbon dioxide and compressed natural gas.
While residents celebrate the expected impact of the plant, the project consultant commits to training young persons who might be interested in working at the Niger Gas plant.
Enugu State actually has seen great light, and your focus even in Enugu East is a thing of thanks. We want to thank you. We have celebrated a lot of openings in Enugu East.
We'll be undertaking plenty of training, and especially requesting all the universities around here to partner with us in such a way that when they come in, they could send in their engineers and scientists to do their industrial training with us. And this is also in line with the Smart School, which is a STEM-based curriculum.
Governor Peter Mba, flanked by members of his cabinet and other distinguished guests, goes on to commission the edifice.
And God the Holy Spirit.
And from one end of the plant to another, he inspects it. He again talks about the amount of jobs the plant will create and its economic impact.
This plant is now able to provide 100 skilled employment and about 5,000 indirect employment. Because what it means that you're going to have all the ecosystem from the suppliers, the traders, those providing logistics, packages, and what have you. They're all going to have employment. They're going to get active.
The Niger Gas Company is one of many moribund assets being revived by the Mba administration in Enugu State. He believes that the Assets Revival Initiative will help grow the state's economy from $4.4 billion to $30 billion.
And members of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Polytechnics, have issued a fresh 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to address all lingering issues with the workers or risk a nationwide industrial action. The ultimatum is contained in a communique issued at the end of the association's 77th General Executive Council meeting held at the Audu Bako College of Agriculture, Dambata, Kano State. The Polytechnic workers are asking for the release of new scheme of service, constitution of the renegotiation of the 2010 Agreement Committee, payment of all owed arrears, and the release of the 2023, 2024 and 2025 needs assessment funds. The association expresses displeasure over what it described as insincerity of the government to address the issues. The statement, which was jointly signed by the President and National Secretary of the association, accused the federal government of paying lip service to agreements reached. And that's it from the nation's capital. It's now over to Dominic for business news.
Thank you, Victoria. On business news, African Airlines saw a 9.4% year-on-year increase in air cargo demand last month, which is one of the strongest performances globally. And this is according to the International Air Transport Association, IATA. In its latest report on July World Air Cargo Markets Report, IATA highlighted that globally, total demand measured in cargo ton kilometers rose 5.5 year-on-year. At the same time, the global aviation body also mentioned that African Airlines saw a 2.8% increase in passenger demand in July, largely due to notable surge in traffic on routes between Africa and Asia. The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, is developing a comprehensive cybersecurity framework to safeguard digital infrastructure and enhance online safety for telecom consumers. According to the statement released today by NCC, the framework is expected to take effect next year, and it will address security challenges arising from emerging technologies and strengthening Nigeria's digital economy. The cybersecurity initiative for the telecom industry was first announced in June this year by the Executive Vice Chairman of the NCC, Dr. Aminu Maida, who stated that the proposed framework will outline minimum cybersecurity expectations for telecom operators. To some company news now, Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC GTCO says it has pumped 365.9 billion naira in its subsidiary Guarantee Trust Bank Limited. In a notice sent to the Nigerian Exchange today, the company says the move aims to allow GT Bank meet its recapitalization mandate ahead of the March 2026 deadline set by the central bank. This strategic transaction raises GT Bank's share capital from 138.186 billion to 504.037 billion naira, surpassing the CBN's mandated minimum 500 billion naira for internationally licensed commercial banks. Now let's find out how the domestic equities markets ended the last trading day and week of August. Ladi Williams has the report.
Hello and welcome. Well, the Bulls couldn't snap the loss from the midweek trade earlier this week. We started the week at about 141,000 points, but yeah, it is a weekly loss, at this point. And we closed there 0.19% down, losing the 141,000 level. Let's look at the sectors that we track now. We see the lone gainer. That was consumer goods. That was up 0.14% to close. Still a lot of pressure on the banking counter. For the consumer goods, see the likes of international breweries adding to the share price today, helping up prop the counter at 0.14%. Oil and gas also down about 0.5%. And to the tier one banks now, been under a lot of pressure this week, taking the counter down with it. We see the tier one bankers all down with a major drop there from Zenith Bank, 4.35% down. So the last trading day of August ends in the red, same as the last trading week of August.
And that's the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. And still on the news at 10, former Thai Prime Minister Shinawatra accepts court's verdict validating her removal from office over alleged leaked video phone call with Cambodia's ex-leader Hun Sen. And that's on the foreign scene. Please join us again. Welcome back. Former Thailand Prime Minister Shinawatra has accepted a court verdict removing her from office over a leaked phone call in June with ex-Cambodia leader Hun Sen. She insists she was only trying to save lives. Here's Simon Puser with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The ex-Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra says she accepts the court's verdict after being removed from office over a leaked phone call with Cambodia's former leader. In the leaked clip, the ousted Prime Minister was heard calling Cambodia's Hun Sen uncle and criticising the Thai army. Now the country's Deputy Prime Minister will replace Shinawatra before a new vote is held for Prime Minister. Paetongtarn is now the 5th leader since 2008 to be dismissed by this court, plunging Thailand into uncertainty yet again. A day of mourning is being observed in Kyiv after the second biggest Russian far killed at least 23 people, including 4 children, and injured dozens of others. The city's mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, said it was to honour the dead as a massive recovery effort continues at the 5-storey block of flats, where 22 of the 23 people were killed. The drone and missile strikes also damaged the EU's diplomatic mission and the British Council building in central Kyiv. European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said Russia would stop at nothing to terrorise Ukraine. Investigators said that the attacker, who opened fire on pupils as they were praying at a church in Minneapolis, was obsessed with the idea of killing children. The murdered children have been identified by family as Fletcher Merkel, aged 8, and Harper Moisky, aged 10. Robin Westman, who killed the 2 children and injured 18 others, did not seem to have any specific motive, according to Minneapolis police.
Yesterday, a coward decided to take our 8-year-old son Fletcher away from us. Because of their actions, we will never be allowed to hold him, talk to him, play with him, and watch him grow into the wonderful young man he was on the path to becoming.
Protests are taking place across Indonesia after the death of a ride-sharing driver. Tear gas and water cannons are being fired at crowds gathered in the major cities of Jakarta and Surabaya. The capital has seen a series of demonstrations this week, with protests stemming over a number of issues, including lawmakers' pay and income inequality. India and Canada have appointed new high commissioners to each other's countries in the latest step to restore ties strained by the killing of Sikh separatist leader in a Vancouver suburb in 2023. India's previous tied 3 children in December 2021. Police believe he took the children after losing legal custody of them to their mother.
We're confident that that's Tom Phillips and one of his children. We're considering what this burglary actually means, and we're looking at does it mean he's potentially had a falling out with who's helping him, or is he just that brazen and confident that he's quite happy to come out at night and commit a burglary? This will take as long as it takes. Our focus is to bring those children out safely. We're not going to get into a confrontation situation.
And a musician from Northern Ireland has broken the Guinness World Record for the longest busk. Marty Rafferty from County Armagh performed for 24 hours on the trot, breaking the record just after midday on Thursday.
Well, folks, that there is me, I have to say it flat out, 27 hours.
He began at midday on Wednesday and had planned to strum his last chord at 6 p.m. on Thursday, but had to end his set at 3 p.m. due to a broken thumb and a fading voice. He described breaking the world record as a huge buzz.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The battle for medals in 37 sporting events at the 9th edition of the National Youth Games has officially kicked off in Asaba, the Delta State capital. President Bola Tinubu, represented by Special Advisor Media and Public Communications, Sunday Dari, declared the games opened at the ceremony held earlier today. Mr. Dari charged the participants to show spirit of sportsmanship and must shun winning at all costs at the multi-sports events.
Mr. President recognizes that sports is one bond that can hold us together for unity as a country and as a people. And as we gather here for the next 2 weeks, over 6,000 young athletes, 15 years downwards, to compete in the spirit of sportsmanship, we believe that several young talents in football, field and track, boxing, and several other sports will emerge. They will be fed into our federations, and from there they will be nurtured and trained and upskilled to represent this country.
Coach has dropped Victor Boniface, Moses Simon, Sadiq Umar, and 6 others as he cuts down his 31 provisional squad to the final 23 for next month's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against Rwanda and South Africa. The Super Eagles must pick up 6 points from the clash against Rwanda on September the 6th in Enugu and South Africa on September the 9th in Bloemfontein to boost the slim hopes of picking a ticket for next year's World Cup. The Super Eagles are currently 4th in Group C on 7 points, behind leader South Africa on 13, Rwanda on 8, and Benin Republic on 8 points after 6 games. That's sports, and
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. The United Nations Children's Fund today raised the alarm, said over 4.5 million people are in dire need of humanitarian assistance in Nigeria's northeast region. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawade. Good night and have a wonderful weekend.